Hey everyone, McRuler31 back here for FSI DFS. TK has some things going on this weekend, so I'll be doing this cup video solo. We've been having a great weekend. Cash for trucks. Yesterday we had Ty Gibbs and Briscoe and Brown, even though we did have Hill in our lineup and he went out early, still was able to cash with the rest of the guys we had. So it was a really good day. So we're looking again to see what we can do for Cup here. So actually, this is a better situation than the other two. Like what we did with our projections, with kind of looking at practice and track history and everything, seemed to be working. So this one's even better because we actually have the qualifying spots, so we just don't have to. The guesswork's gone. So I'll quickly run through the field here and let you know what I think. And where you're looking at the sheet that we're going to publish today, and you can see the projections are there, the plays are there, what we think for ownership is all there. We have what their practice ranking was, this was their qualifying ranking is, what the average of the two is, what their finish projection is, and these might be a little bit off because it doesn't have a ton of the track history in there, but let's just start going through this. And so I think Kyle Larson is going to be the highest owned player or driver. He has been pretty dominant. I think he's led something like 47% of the laps on 1.5 mile tracks. He's had third best speed in practice. Qualified first. I think, there's 300 laps in this race, so I think he's going to get out there and he's going to do really well. Ricky Stenhouse is very fast, also qualifying, 8th fastest in practice. I think he's a GPP. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay up there. The price tag is nice. He'll have low ownership. So if you think he can hang in the top 5, if you can get out there and possibly lead some laps, I think he's a very risky play starting up here. So he's borderline fade, but possible. Chase Elliott, I think, will be popular also. I think he's a good pivot off of Larson if you are playing a couple cash lineups like we've talked about in a couple of these videos, with NASCAR being a high variance sport and mechanical breakdowns and crashes and stuff. Sometimes like I'll split my cash like 50-50 just to have a different studs up top if we don't know who the clear cut one's going to be. Looks like it might be Larson, but it's going to be hard to build with some of the other guys who want to get in here. So I can see doing a Chase Elliott line too, and then they'll give you a little bit more salary to differentiate some of the other plays in your lineup. Byron, he's had some fast cars recently. I think he's a GPP here. I think he might have some high ownership in GPPs, but I don't think he's going to be that high on the cash. Harvick, I don't know. He's starting a little too far forward for me, and he seems to have really struggled. He, I believe, is a better cool track driver, so that kind of favors him. It's going to be unseasonably cool here at this racetrack this weekend. So it's not going to be, I know they were talking yesterday with like the air hose coming off of one of the guys' cars and it being very, very hot in there. But today, looking at the weather forecast, I think it's not going to be as warm. So I think, and plus it's a night race also. So that might help a little bit, but I'm not playing them, maybe sprinkle on a GPP. Austin Dillon was the fastest car in practice. He's 7,700. I know that a lot of people are probably going to fade him, and maybe medium ownership is a little bit aggressive. It might be low, but I really think that he might be one to play in cash that might be sneaky. If he can stay in the top 10, if his car continues to be fast, then I think, he could be very, very sneaky. I'm not saying he's a must for cash by any means, but I can see playing him in cash, but definitely I think he's a great GPP play if you don't trust him in cash. Alex Bowman had a super fast car last year. He's coming off the win at Dover right before they went to the road course track, so we can just kind of cast last week away as a novelty thing. And you look back, he's in good form. And as we said, like in the video before this race, like, we had no idea he was going to win it, but you said whatever surprise like you kind of look at the top 5, top 10 sometimes, and like he's just kind of there. So I don't know if I trust him in my cash builds, but I think he's definitely another one that I think he's definitely going to be locked into my GPP lineups. Truex could be another great pivot off of Larson. It's very hard to get Larson and Truex in the same lineup. There's another guy that I would kind of prefer as my second driver for stud. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I think he's definitely playable in cash. I think he's better when the race is hotter, but I have no objection to playing him, and I think we'll probably have him in some of my lineups. Like if I split cash, I think I'll probably have Larson and another guy we're going to come into, and then maybe I'll do like a Truex Elliott or Truex somebody else that's coming up soon. I know TK loves Daniel Suarez. He's starting way too high up here. The price is fine if you want to go for a GPP, but I'm fading him. Same thing with Ross Chastain. Blaney, he's had his struggles on 1.5 mile tracks, but the cooler temperature, the grip on this track should be more in his wheelhouse. So I think, he's definitely playable in GPP. Kurt Busch just kind of here. I think he'll do okay, but I think he'll lose a couple spots. I think there's some drivers behind him that will get up there, like Brad Keselowski. Keselowski came out this week, and they were talking about his future at Penske, and he kind of hinted that he can't talk about it, but it seems like an announcement's coming soon. There's rumors that he's going to Stewart-Haas Racing, maybe have part of ownership in the team. So I don't know if that means like Ryan Newman is going to retire or Buscher's going someplace, or if they're going to add a third car to the team, but that's something to keep an eye on. And I'd say he get the booth boost from yesterday, but there was a bunch of drivers. It was all drivers on the Xfinity telecast yesterday, so we wouldn't really read into that much, but I think he's playable in cash. The prices opens up some things. There's some place differential there, but he's not a must for me. These Penske cars are okay at this track, but I don't see them as a dominated group. If you want to stack all three of them and throw in Di Vendetta, no struggle with that. Hamlin here is at 10.8. He didn't have a great setup in the last mile and a half track. I think it was Kansas, but I think, he definitely 11th in speed, so he's just right outside the top 10, qualified 14th. I don't like him as much as like Truex and Larson here, but I wouldn't surprise me if he gets up there and starts leading laps. Tyler Reddick raced yesterday. He did pretty well. He had some issues, but he kept on climbing his way back. He finished in the top 10, avoided the wrecks. So I like him here also. You can play him in cash. Especially, it seemed like the high groove was the preferred one. This is not a wall riding track like some of the other ones he really excels at, but I think he can do decent here. 15 is a good starting spot, like the salary. So again, I think he's a good fill-in player. He's not a priority. Logano, he's kind of struggled a little bit at these tracks. Again, I think I'd like more of like a Penske stack than playing each individuals as one-offs. Christopher Bell, man, I saw him at the telecast. I didn't realize he looks more like Christopher Robbins. That dude's so young. And I know Ty Gibbs was yesterday winning the race, just seeing some of these drivers, and like they look like they're my kids' age. Is just kind of scary, like how young they are and like what they're doing. So kudos to them for doing this young in life, and hopefully they have long, successful careers. But Bell, I think, is a little bit higher price than I want. Like, I have no objection to playing him, but I just don't see anything special there. Bubba Wallace, I thought last week, possibly at the road course track, like it seemed like he was maybe coming alive and that he was going to do really well. And then the end it would rain, so I wish it would have gone a little bit longer to see maybe if he could have really had a good week. But still, this team's still trying to figure it out, put together. I think next year when they get a new car, I think that's where they'll really excel. I think this year is just kind of a get a feel for the water, and then they'll jump in next year. So GPP, if you want to play him, not really interested. Eric Jones, same thing. This Petty Motorsports car has had some tech issues. It's a 600-mile race. Is they going to make it all the way to the distance? And Petty Motorsports isn't the same quality team that they used to be. But if you want him a GPP, that's fine. Kurt Busch, I think, is going to be very, very popular. Or Kyle is going to be very, very popular here. The one thing we've been saying about Kyle Busch, and you're going to probably fall over because I think he's the second guy I'm going to lock in my cash lineup. I know have been all over him this year and just saying he's GPP only, but the reason is because he didn't have practice. This week, they had practice. So I think that he's definitely a decent option there. I think he's going to be highly owned. There's place differential. He can get up there. I think he's going to have the speed. He was 10th in practice. Eric Jones actually was 4th in practice, so that might be something to look at too. So maybe that makes me, sorry to go back to him, but that makes me maybe feel a little bit better for him. But definitely Kyle Busch, I like him. I think he's going to be highly owned. Chase Briscoe raced yesterday. He led a lot of the race. Again, it was Xfinity. It wasn't here, but it was a Stewart-Haas car. Hopefully it'll be set up the same in his Cup car. He has been doing better recently, but I think there's a lot of better drivers, but at the price at 62 with some experience on this track, yes, he did spin out. Ty Gibbs took the air off of him. It wasn't anything he did. The car got away from them after one of the pit stops, and he did actually come back and get back into the top 10 for a finish, so and avoid the major wreck. So I like him. Matt DiBenedetto, I might be higher on than a lot of people here. I think that he can get up into the top 10. I think he's got a decent car. He's had some good results in these types of tracks and at this Speedway specifically. I think he's going to be highly owned. I think some other people might be scared off with his pricing, but I really like him there. Cole Custer, I think, is going to be, I'd rather pay $500 less for DiBenedetto. Yes, there's some place differential. If you want to pair him with like some other Stewart-Haas guys and maybe do like a team stack thing, but not super interested, but he's not a fade. Michael McDowell, he's finally where we want him. He's okay on this type of track. He's 5,800, which I love that price, and he's starting in the mid-20s. And I think, can he get up into the teens here? Absolutely. Can he pass people like Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, potentially Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, maybe even some of the other guys up there that I said to fade, like Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, and maybe pick up 4 and 5 spots? Yes. And for 5,800, does that get it done? Yes. So his qualifying speed was 23rd. Practice speed 23rd, qualified 24th. Might start or finish like around the same spot. There's really only a couple guys behind him that might get ahead of him. So I do really like him there. Not saying he's a must, not saying he's a cash lock, but I'm saying he's definitely a great option. Ryan Newman, though, I think is going to be very chalky. I think he's going to be there because, again, I think like Michael McDowell, he can move up through the field. He's had some success here. He's got a good car. So I think he's going to be very popular at 6,400. Corey LaJoie, I think he's like a cult favorite here. GPP, medium ownership. If he fits in your build, I'd pay 200 more and take McDowell at that point. But if you don't have the 200 and you land on him, I'm okay with him. Prefer for GPP, but I'm okay for cash. Chris Buescher, I think he's going to be very chalky down here. I think he might be the second highest owned player behind Larson, just with his results on these 1.5 mile tracks. Homestead was one, I believe, and he was like led some of that race. So he's definitely chalky and probably a prime play, and I'm going to lock into my lineup. Ryan Preece, same thing. He saved $700. Not as much upside, but I can definitely see him being higher owned in cash also. Maybe it's a pivot off Buescher if you don't have the $700, if you're trying to go with higher studs up top. If you are taking Kyle Busch's 10-2 and like Truex's 11-1, so if you're trying to make up that money, then I can see that happening also. Anthony Alfredo, I'd say no. I think maybe down the road he's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to get ahead of many drivers here. Justin Haley, no. Like him better in Xfinity, not here. crashed yesterday. I think he was collateral damage. I think, yeah, he was pretty much along for the ride for that. He got turned and up into the wall. Eric Almirola, I think he's starting way too low here. He has had some speed issues. He has had some very bad luck this year, but I think you can definitely play him in cash if you can find the 7-9 and he fits your build. I think he definitely 24th in speed, so probably 5 places of place differential. And then really there's nobody else down here that I would consider. I'd fade the rest. With having practice, with having qualifying, if you look at the numbers right here, they all have the same pretty much speed and qualifying, so I don't really see them getting up any higher unless there's a major crash like early on and you have like 5 guys that 4 laps into it are completely out of the race. But it's going to be a long race, so you're going to want cars that are from good teams. So the last thing I'll lead you with, besides, like I said, I think my 3 core plays are going to be Larson, Kyle Busch, and Buescher, mix in some of the other cash plays. If you want to get a little bit different, I like Truex, Hamlin, and Elliott is some of the other studs there. The rest of the guys would pretty much be GPPs like Harvick, Byron, Bowman. Dylan with his speed is a little risky here, but I think he could be very rewarding if he gets low ownership and his car is really as fast as he showed in practice. So the only other thing I'm going to say is Toyotas were very fast in the truck race. The Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks did very well there. In Xfinity yesterday, the Gibbs cars did very well. So if you want to stack the Gibbs cars, if you can, I didn't look and see if you could fit it in, but I definitely, if you could only get 3 in, take Truex, Larson, or Truex, Kyle Busch, and then Denny Hamlin. And then if you can fit in Christopher Bell, then that would be the 4. If you can't do it with fitting in Christopher Bell, then at least take the 3 Toyotas, because they just seem like they have been really good on this track and they've got things figured out. And that might be one of my GPP stacks that I roll out today. Is just having a Gibbs one. I had one yesterday and they were cruising. They were actually top 10 in a lot of GPPs until the crash at the end took out a couple of them, and it didn't end so well, but the potential was there. So I think I might try that again today. So thanks again for watching. Next week we should have TK back joining us, so we should be back to normal. I didn't look ahead and see like how many, if there's qualifying or practice or anything, but I think this format worked out well for Xfinity and for the trucks, where we're able to look at some historic data from the track and get some information out to you guys in video content. Even though we didn't have the starting positions, seemed to work. So hopefully we can try to figure that out for the future if NASCAR is going back to having the whole qualifying and practice very close proximity to roster lock. So good luck, have a safe weekend. Sorry it's rained most of the East Coast for Memorial Day, so maybe you guys will get some nice weather tomorrow. Please celebrate responsibly, don't drink and drive, and once again, thank you for all the men and women who have served and kept this country free. Big Gorilla 31 out.